Hello and welcome to another episode of Historic Hindsight. I'm John, that's Tom, and today we're getting pierced.
That's right, Johnny. We're getting Pierce while we
exciting.
talk about Franklin Pierce, our 14th president, a second dark horse president. If you don't know what a dark horse president is at home, that's a guy who didn't even run for president and then somehow got chosen and elected.
So was he? Is this because did our last president die?
No, that's not. Nope. It's not that kind of a dark horse president, Johnny. Normally, I like to start off with presidents and discuss slavery as the starting point, but we're going to put that. We're going to pause that because Franklin Pierce is known as one of our worst presidents, and we gotta build the stage. There's a lot of things that happen in his life that I think excuse, or maybe not excuse,
Worst in what manner? Worst in that the things that he did caused harm, or worse? Yeah, in that
in office, the choices that he made he made
bad decisions
to the Civil War.
Running this country.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just a lot of bad. Anyways, Johnny, 14th president, second dark horse. He was nominated by the Democrats without even running. But we're going to go, like I said, start a little different direction. We're going to go back. We're going to go back, discuss his early life, his marriage, and that kind of stuff before we even get into the presidency. He's going to be born in New Hampshire into a political family, his father being a Democrat Republican, big in the state legislature, big state, politician. Doesn't go on the national level, his dad does, but big on the state level. Franklin's going to become a lawyer and deeply involved in politics himself, so naturally, he's going to marry Jane Appleton, who's a minister's daughter, a teetotaler, if you don't know what that means. It's somebody who doesn't really like the alcohol thing, and is against all kinds of politics and does not really want to even live in New Hampshire. By the way, her father is big into politics and is a Whig, which might explain why she doesn't really want politics. And then enter Franklin Pierce, who's going to marry her as a raging alcoholic. Who's huge into politics for the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
Complete opposites
here.
Well,
as was the norm in the time, the woman in the relationship got nothing what she wanted, and the guy got what he wanted. So
she is also very much
for the course.
She's also very much an introvert, while he is very much a party goer. That's kind of where the alcoholism stuff. It's his personality.
Well, also a politician.
He's a politician. Yeah. He likes to go to the parties. He drinks while he's at
the
parties.
Elbows.
All that fun stuff. Now, he's going to use his outgoing and partying personality to become a member of the New Hampshire House of Representatives in 1829. Jane's going to hate living in Hillsborough, which is his district, so they move to the capital where he becomes Speaker of the House in New Hampshire. So he's already working his way up pretty quick.
I mean, he's like a go-getter. He's doing his thing.
He's doing his thing. In 1833, he's going to move on to the U.S. House of Representatives, so moving up even farther. He's now on the national stage. And then tragedy begins in his life on March of 1836 when his first son, Franklin Jr., is going to die in infancy. Setting him and his wife into a deep
SIDS, something like that.
State of depression. Yeah, whatever the equivalent of that is. Yeah, it was. I think he was only a couple of days or a couple of weeks old. Baby didn't live that long.
Baby died because that was what
it's the 1800s.
But
still, it puts both of them into a state of depression. That doesn't help his drinking. That doesn't help putting strain on said relationship between him and his wife.
Yeah, that's going to make it tough.
When he becomes the U.S. Senator in 1837, he's going to move the family to D.C. Jane, once again, absolutely hates it. And eventually, she's going to move back home, leaving him in D.C. Until his second fucking son dies, John!
Oh. How old was this son?
Several years old. This kiddo died of epidemic typhus in 1842. Obviously,
sounds awful.
Obviously, more depression. So much so that Franklin Pierce is going to resign his seat as a senator in 1842 after his son dies. He's going to move back home. He's going to quit the alcohol and say, like, look, I'm never going to be away from my family again. So long as I can help it. I'm definitely not going to leave my family for politics ever again. And then war breaks out in Mexico and he goes and fights in the war.
Well, he's never going to leave his family again unless he gets tired of them and then needs to go fight a war. And then, somebody elects him president on accident. So he has some obligations there.
So when war breaks out in 1846, he volunteers and is commissioned brigadier general despite having absolutely zero military experience or zero knowledge of the military or zero understanding.
That does not matter. That doesn't matter at all.
Doesn't matter. He was a senator, so brigadier general you are now.
Yeah. You get your suit with all your you get some medals. You can tell people what to do, make some decisions. But no one knows what they're doing anyway, so...
Military career is not exactly great. He is accused of being a coward because on multiple occasions, right before battle, he happens to get injured. What? The most famous one, his horse trips over some rocks and then falls on him, smashing up his knee, severely spraining it. He actually winds up trying to get up after the horse gets up and then passes out. And then cannot fight the battle.
That does hurt.
Winfield Scott, Johnny, remember Winfield Scott? He's our Civil War dude, the big head general at the very start of the Civil War who has the Anaconda Plan. Morbidly obese man.
Sure.
Yeah. So he's Franklin Pierce's commanding officer. Accuses Franklin Pierce directly of being a coward and says, "Get off the battlefield, go home. You are a coward, sir. Be gone with you."
And he's like, "Okay, yes, that sounds like a plan.
Yep. And then he does that.
I'm out."
And he goes home to very much an embarrassment in the public specter as when it comes to like his military career. Although, to be fair, our U.S. Grant does speak highly of him later on in life, but it's one of those like,
but why though? Like,
he said he wasn't a coward, but you know.
No, okay, yeah, that's easy to say. 30 years later or whatever, when you're trying to talk about was this after he died?
No, not after he died.
No. Okay, all right.
Nope.
I was gonna say, 'cause that makes it even easier.
It makes it. It does make it.
He was great. Yeah. Great general.
It does make it a hell of a lot easier.
Leader of men.
Johnny, now we're going to fast forward to the election of 1852, and the Democratic National Convention is trying to find a middle ground candidate that can get northern and southern votes. Obviously, slavery is a hot button issue that's going on right now, even all the way into 1852. They're trying to find a candidate who can both appease to the South by saying, look, I don't hate slavery, but also appease to the North by saying, like, I'm not going to let it expand. You know,
but also
don't love it, but I don't hate it. We're gonna let it.
We're just gonna kick this can down the road until eventually the powder keg blows and we go into a 5-year Civil War, whatever.
Yep. So I have to point out that this part in U.S. history with our politics, there is no voting that happens to like, all right, the Democrats are going to get together and all the people who are Democrats vote for who they want, like the primaries. That doesn't exist.
A caucus or whatever. There's none of that. It's just they go to the Democratic National Convention and the oligarchy powers that be select who they want to be their candidate. Oh, that's different than now when we all get a say.
Sure. Yep. Anyways, Johnny, at 36 votes in, like 36 separate votes, there has not been a majority yet. At 36 votes in, somebody goes, well, what about Franklin Pierce? Mind you, barely even had any time on the national stage as far as politicians are concerned, so he has no enemies, and everyone's like, who? Oh, the dude who was a senator, his kids died, and then he quit? Yeah, I mean,
sympathy.
I guess he's fine.
Not only do you have the sympathy card, you also know that he's going to work for you because what's he going to do? Spend time with his family? No.
Nope.
Can't do that.
Can't do that.
So he's gonna be a good worker.
Johnny, after the 48th vote, North Carolina Congressman James Dobbin vouches for Pierce, and then it takes yet another vote, the 49th vote, for Pierce to actually finally have enough votes that he is selected the nominee for the Democratic Party. He's not there.
So it sounds like a whole lot of people just didn't care and are just like, yeah, whatever, let's end this. Fine.
He's not there. He's not running. He's not putting his own name in the hat. He has no idea this is going on.
He's not even at the convention. Somebody just said,
"Yep,
I know a guy.
He'll be good."
No little speech that he can give to be like, yeah, guys, I can change this country. See?
Nope.
None of that. Nothing. Just
he's retired from politics.
Yeah, I know a guy who is tragically depressed, kind of an alcoholic. Was fine as a senator, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, he can do it.
Johnny.
And they did it.
They knock on his house. They tell him, "Hey, congratulations! You secured the Democratic ticket to become the president." And he's like, "Huh? I don't think I voted for that." His wife Jane, when she hears the news, is going to pass out. And then his only surviving son is like,
that could have been because of her corset too.
Could have been, yeah, that could have been that. Now his only surviving son goes, "Daddy, I hope you lose, because Mommy's not going to like moving to DC again."
How old's this son?
Not wrong. He's like under 10, but like not. He's like 7, 8, 9. I don't know the exact age, but he's not super young, or maybe he's in the double digits. He might be in the double digits. He's a child. He's a child. Didn't look into that far, because it's not going to matter in about 10 minutes, Johnny. So just bear with me.
Fuck.
He is a true dark horse candidate. Because he's not, like, it's just nobody expected him to win. Nobody even knew of him. He didn't even know he was running. And then he goes up against Johnny, the Whig candidate, Winfield Scott. The guy we talked about 10 minutes ago who accused him of being a coward in the Mexican-American War. I was like, get the fuck out. That's who he's going up against. These two guys.
Oh, all right. Well,
which,
yeah.
Politically speaking, they're the same dude. They're so much the same dude that the United States is bored with them and has the lowest voter turnout since 1836. Nobody shows up because nobody cares about either of these two fucking candidates. Don't care. Flip of a coin. Doesn't much matter. The entire campaign of Winfield
one's a coward.
Huh?
One's a coward and the other's a name caller. So,
and that's the entire campaign of Winfield Scott, is that he's just, well, Franklin Pierce is a coward and he's an alcoholic. And Franklin Pierce is like, I'm not morbidly obese. And Johnny, despite all early predictions, Franklin Pierce is going to win by a fucking landslide. It's not even close. Like, he wins like all but like 4 states. Because nobody shows up, nobody cares.
His ticket
he's the
or whatever. They did a better job convincing people to come.
He's a more outgoing person. He campaigns, I guess, a little bit better. He's a party guy. It's the George.
Kissed more babies.
It's the George W. approach. He's a guy I want to have a beer with.
That guy you
Speaking of which,
have a beer with.
George W., direct relative of Franklin Pierce.
All right. Well, aren't like all of our
they are, but like
related to like 2 people?
Yeah, they're like cousins or some shit like that.
Like Moses and Jesus or something?
Something like that. So he wins in a landslide. And Johnny, after being elected, but before being sworn in, he's going to take a train ride on January 6th with his wife and his only surviving child. The train's going to crash, and him and his wife are going to witness their son get crushed to fucking death.
Mm-hmm. By what?
By the train. You know, the train car.
The
car. It crashes, and he gets crushed to death in the wreckage.
And they're fine, though.
They're fine, yeah. They survive.
Do you think, all right, did anybody ever investigate to see whether these 2 people actually wanted children?
DCS, maybe DCS things.
Are these late-term abortions? Is all I'm asking.
Both of them are
rather suspicious.
Both of them slip into even more depression, and before he even gets sworn into office, he is already horribly depressed. And reports are that he is back on the wagon or off the wagon. Is it off the wagon or on the wagon when you're drinking?
I never know. He's drinking again.
Drinking again by reports. Yep. Now, when he's sworn into the office, he is our only president to be sworn in, not on the Bible, and doesn't swear in, but actually affirms the oath. He gets a law book, and he affirms on a law book. He states that it's because he just doesn't have much love for God right now, with all of his kids fucking dying.
That seems fair.
He thinks God's punishing him and goes, I don't want to risk my presidency by throwing God in the works. We're just going to ignore. But in all reality, from what I've read, he wasn't the most religious man in and of himself anyways, which is also
it's hard to be religious when your children keep dying.
Yeah,
like everything happens for a reason, and you're like, maybe please not that.
Yep. And Johnny,
not this reason.
His vice president, King, is going to die of fucking tuberculosis in 1853, leaving that position basically vacant for the rest of his presidency.
At this point, did they have that little, Speaker of the House thing? Is that what it is?
That's part of it, yeah. He's gone.
They did have the chain of command.
Yeah, there's a chain of command,
now.
so there's no direct for like the majority of his presidency. If he were to die, there's no vice president to immediately take over. So then what is it like the fucking?
It's the Speaker of the House, I think.
I thought, yeah, maybe, yeah, it might be the Speaker,
something like that.
Yeah.
But in any case, yeah, I didn't know if they had
Yeah, it would be-
concocted that yet.
It would be, yeah, they would have to go down the line and figure it out because obviously there's no vice president to take over. So, in his inauguration speech, he says that it is a time of peace and prosperity in the United States. Entering the era of peace and prosperity. And then immediately he signs the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which shits all over the Missouri Compromise, allows the territories of Kansas and Nebraska to fend for themselves when it comes to slavery, and they'll have a vote at a later point in time to determine whether they want to be a slave state or a free state, which then starts a massive rush to those territories of slave owners wanting it to be a slave state, so they all move there with their slaves, and then you have the abolitionists that run there because they don't want it to be a slave state, so they're running there, and then you get fucking bleeding Kansas where there's a literal war between the slave owners and the abolitionists murdering each other all through Kansas. Yeah. It's no more.
So that didn't go well.
Peace.
That was not a good.
In prosperity. He was supposed to be a
Piece of
middle-of-the-road
legislation.
candidate. That's already kind of shitting on the middle of the road. His Secretary of War, Johnny, is Jefferson Davis, future Trader President Davis of the Confederacy. Trader President Davis is going to convince Pierce to send a man by the name of Gadsden down to Mexico to renegotiate the Treaty of Guadalupe, which was the treaty of when we they surrendered to us and we got some territories and we got some like all that fun shit. Yeah, he sends him down there to buy basically the entirety of the Southwest. That's Arizona, New Mexico, or it becomes them, that whole chunk of land, because they want to build a southern transcontinental railroad to increase slave states in the South and their like transportation of that whole network.
So they're going to build a transcontinental railroad themselves.
Yes.
And they're going to change gauges 8 times on it.
Yes. Yeah, multiple gauges, increase the slave states, all that fun stuff. He's going to take it to another step even further when he attempts to buy Cuba to create Cuba as a slave state, although the Spanish don't go for that. And then there was this brief conversation where they were talking about doing it by force. So we almost had the Spanish-American War like in his presidency too by trying to buy Spain so that we can have yet even more
and then being like, no,
territories.
we're going to buy it.
Yeah,
either with money or blood.
There's kind of that, but Spain basically.
But luckily, that didn't happen.
Yeah. We tried, but then Spain was like, "Nah, not going to do it," and we weren't, I guess, ballsy enough to finally go to war with them or go to war with them that early.
Well, we didn't have a standing army. Like we didn't. Yeah,
no, it would have been a bad move to try to go to war with them then, because I mean, we had a navy, we had a really good, strong navy, but but that was it. Like the 10,000 dude standing army that we had probably wouldn't have been all that useful.
No, it wouldn't have lasted long.
So his presidency actually wound up being so damaging internationally and locally. There was even like attempts to like get us involved in the one of the English wars for some reason. It doesn't matter. It was so bad internationally and nationally that the Democratic ticket was like, listen, we're not gonna go with you.
Re-election, we're not doing a re-election campaign here.
We're going to go a different Buchanan. Probably should have went with him the time before, but we're gonna go with Buchanan now because you were not.
You weren't supposed to do anything.
You were supposed to, you were just supposed to be a pretty face. Like you made decisions that were not centrist at all. Like you were very much taking a side when it came to slavery.
The can of slavery down the road and not drive a wedge deep into the heart of the country.
So when he finds out that he is no longer going to be president or doesn't have the option, which never happens, by the way, in all of the U.S. history, like a sitting president not getting the option to like buy their political party to run again, like it doesn't happen. It's happened a couple times, but it doesn't happen. Biden got the Democratic ticket. Like let that sink in for a second as to how this doesn't happen.
Now, there have been cases where the person, the incumbent, whatever you want to call, what is that? Yeah,
Yeah.
Where they were just like, no, I'm done.
Right? Sure enough, yeah. There's definitely been like some presidents that like after
I don't want to run again. I'm out.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm done. Yeah.
And they're like, all right, we'll get somebody else. Okay.
Yeah, very much so.
That should happen more often, probably.
We more often than not, we don't have incumbent presidents like that get a second term. Like it's actually more often.
It used to be. It used to be. I remember growing up, it used to be like every president got 2 terms, and then
for us,
and then it was 2 terms.
As we have been alive, as we have been alive, the only presidents that in our lifetimes that weren't double presidents were Bush Senior and then Trump.
Yeah.
Everybody else got 2 terms.
It's all, and it's been like Democrat, Republican.
Pretty much,
it's just alternating.
Yep.
So enjoy 4 more years of Biden, and then we'll get whoever the Republicans have.
Yeah. Yep. Probably. Any case, Johnny, after he doesn't get the nomination, he goes, nothing left to do but drink.
Because why not?
Because why not? So he goes back home.
You know what? I don't blame him.
No,
I'm not mad at him. You bury all three of your children. I mean, and have to carry around the guilt of murdering all 3 of them too, probably.
Yeah.
Allegedly. Maybe.
But Johnny,
Buchanan's reckless, but
Buchanan's presidency doesn't go all that well either.
No, but
in the 1860 election,
about Buchanan.
Uh-huh.
Are we doing Buchanan right now?
Not now. I'm just saying, but
okay.
It doesn't do so well. So after everything's said and done, Pierce is going to come back in 1860 and attempt to run again, saying that I am a compromised.
He wanted it back now.
I'm a compromised candidate.
He missed it.
Compromised candidate.
He's like, I was doing a good job, guys. I had this, and you know what? I was really enjoying it, even though I never asked for it. But so I want to do it again.
Yeah, he doesn't get the ticket, and his reputation and everything goes up in smoke when a letter surfaces that basically is like, I understand the Southerners need to secede. Like, I get it. If I was living in the South, I'd probably want to secede,
so he's
too.
a Southern sympathizer, too. And on top of everything else.
So the war breaks out.
Sympathizer.
He does stay
loyal. Go
to
hell, Franklin Pierce.
He does stay loyal to the North when the war breaks out. But he's very much adamantly against Lincoln and super critical of the war, super critical of Lincoln's policies, specifically the suspension of habeas corpus, which I don't blame him there.
Can we talk about how fair it is to be critical of Lincoln?
That's fine.
And the things that he did.
Look at this.
Like, holy shit. Like, I don't blame anybody for being upset at how he presidented during the war.
Now, with that said, he also on multiple occasions attempts to try to call for peace negotiations, was basically just let the South go, which isn't.
Let him have it.
Great.
I mean, let him have your land.
And Johnny, in 1863, his wife's gonna fucking die.
She'd had enough.
She was always sickly. She suffered from tuberculosis herself, so she was
clock out.
Sick. And she clocks out in 1863. At which point, that was the only thing stopping him from really being a drunkard. And he goes to the bottle and dies himself in 1869 of liver cirrhosis. So he dies.
Cirrhosis of the liver.
Yep. And that's the end of Franklin Pierce.
That's it for this week in Historic Hindsight. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review, and join us next week when we do a deep dive on the Paleolithic era.